Hello, I hope you all are doing well. Just wanted to talk about something that happened last week that I hadn't quite sorted out exactly what it was. But I was texting briefly with a friend this morning and realizing, or thinking about how interesting it was, all of the different ways we have been positioned in our lives at this time. And how suddenly we all feel thrust into this work. Whereas I think a few months ago, or even, perhaps all the way along this journey, knowing we have this sense that we are here to do something more and wondering how that was going to happen, how everything was going to come about. So yes, while we have in the physical reality the situation that has been occurring, and we all know on the flip side of that, for us, there's much more that's going on. We're all thinking like, oh yeah, this is the moment, right? Like this is what we were planning for and preparing for. Yet I'd like to take it a bit further back. Than just this time-space reality, this time-space moment. Because what happened to me last week as I was standing in my kitchen, and everything seems to be happening in my kitchen lately. I was working at my counter, and I can't say I heard because I didn't hear it in my ears, but I did hear on some level this message. And I felt the energy kind of float through me. And what it said was, surrender your power. And the strange thing was, it was confusing because I was picking up on 2 or 3 different levels of this energy. And of course, surrender your power is a strange statement. Why would I ever do that? Knowing what I know now, over these past few weeks especially, understanding the way the body has been controlled and overtaken. But there were many levels of things that I was feeling based on this statement that I heard. Because at first I thought, yeah, I just want to kind of fall back into something. I want to surrender this resistance that I'm feeling, whether it's stress, worry, concern. That's what I wanted to release when this energy came through. And yet the way it was presenting itself, it was almost as if it was a trick or a trap, because my first instinct was I heard the word surrender, and I think that's kind of there's something built into that word, right? Because we use it so much in this work. Surrender to a higher power, surrender your resistance, surrender your will. And yet something about this felt so off to me. It's like, give up the fight. And I know even oftentimes there's this discussion, right? Like, we are light warriors. Well, we shouldn't be warriors. We should be unifying. We're all one. So there's nothing to fight. There's nothing to battle. Accept it all, light and dark. It's all part of the same. This kind of thing. And so I was thinking about all these different ways. And the meanings that this expression held. And I thought, in the end, I came to the conclusion that there's nothing to surrender to here. There's nothing, because even if there is a higher source, a higher plan, I am aligned to that. I'm aligned to the greatest good of whatever that would be. And therefore, I'm a part of that. And so anything else that is asking me to surrender my power is asking me to stop thinking for myself. But what bothered me more than kind of the mental analysis that I was going through was the fact that this energy held so many different levels and components to it. And it was a trickery, because I could feel myself wanting to, I want someone else to tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. It's too much work to sort and try to decipher the messages that we're getting and try to figure out what is the truth, right? But isn't this what we say about society over and over? We don't want to think for ourselves. We want someone else to tell us what to do. We just want to go, we want to put in the hours, get the paycheck, and do what we're going to do. And so I don't entirely know what that was. But I do also know this is something that's going on for those of us who would call ourselves light workers or see ourselves as having a greater purpose to being here right now. That we are finding ourselves in, let's say, an arrangement of energy, a scenario that we have found ourselves in many, many times over many, many lifetimes. In the sense that we come in to build, we come in to create. As dispensations of source origin. And yet there's also always this moment or period of time where something else comes in and wipes everything out. So for many of us, what is underlying at a very, very deep subconscious level is this sense and this feeling that we're picking up on. Do I go into the prison where I know I will be safe and I won't be killed? Or do I stay right here and do what I know I'm here to do? It's a very real, palpable energy, and yet, because it's so deeply buried right now, we're just not conscious of it. Even though a lot of us are saying, yeah, we've been waiting for this, this is what we've been built for, this is what we've been preparing for. The reality of it, again, is that we were killed over and over and over again for bringing in this light. We were persecuted. It's not happening right now, but those experiences, that trauma is in our field, it's in our bodies. And yet it makes absolutely no sense. It sounds totally crazy to be thinking about it in this moment, in this lifetime. And so many of us are not really even tapping into it in the sense of this is something that needs to be honored and acknowledged and moved past. But it's really hard to move past something when you don't even know it's there. You just carry it with you. To me, this is a big, deep kind of cleansing and scrubbing that is going on right now. And it's interesting because so many times now I see where I will have feelings or images that come up, and I realize what's really going on underneath it is that reversal, right? We're getting the healing for it. And what kept coming up for me yesterday was genocide, genocide, genocide. The intentional extermination. Of a specific, let's say specifically coded type of individual. Whether that be based on race or religion or light origin. Right? And all of these images of people being herded and contained under the guise of, well, using the tools of propaganda. And I'm not saying this is what is going on specifically right now in the 3D realm, but these are the energies that are coming up in the fields to be cleared at a collective level. So for many of us, there is a heightened level of stress and anxiety that we're feeling due to the memories of the traumas rather than the 3D reality. Although in many ways, the 3D reality mirrors, because that's just how energy works, right? So my message here is really to, again, honor what your body is experiencing. Because in this desire to be aligned, to keep our shit together, to want to be the way shower, perhaps, and then again, this is what I'm seeing in the spiritual community. A lot of people saying and stepping out and saying these things of, you know, it's time, this is what we've been waiting for. Actually, what we are supposed to be doing right now is healing from this pain and this trauma. Not yet, not yet. And I was remembering a session I had done with a client a long time ago, and I don't remember exactly when it was. And this was back when there was all that talk of an event or something like this, right? Everyone thought there would be some kind of purple haze that would float through the sky and whatever. But what she was saying in that session was that, you know, who was going to need help at that time was not humanity necessarily. It was the Lightworkers. And this is what I'm feeling at a very deep level right now. It's us who's needing this healing right now. The memories that are being called up, that are being triggered very, very subconsciously at a point where it's so subtle, we're hardly catching it. We're hardly tapping into it. But yet this is what I keep seeing in my sessions over and over and over again now. Wow, these people that have been totally tied down because of this programming. And the image I keep getting are these individuals who are crawling through the trenches in the mud under the barbed wire, right? Like this has been what existence has been like. And so I know many of us are wanting to step out and step up and heed the call of what it means to be a light worker. And yet the call right now is this internal whisper. To realign to ourselves. To truly remember what we anchored here so long ago. And most of it has nothing to do with these transmissions that are floating through the airwaves. And most of that is spreading more fear and panic than the actual media itself. Because the messages are so conflicting. And yes, I know we want to be prepared. We don't want to be caught off guard. We want to be realistic. Right? It's triggering these survival needs. But don't miss that call, that internal sanctuary. It's much deeper than just meditating and aligning. It's really coming in to the sacred core of the earth, which is the same as the sacred core of who you are. And unless we're connecting into the earth and into these codes within the planetary body, we're going to miss these messages. Because the earth herself was designed to hold, not even that she was designed to hold, she has to hold these codes. And in order for us to be here and to do this work, we have to also be connected to that. Sacred energies, sacred spaces, sacred temples, exist because those are power centers that are coded into the earth. And that is here to support us because we designed it this way. And it feels to me that many of us are missing this key component, which is co-creation with the earth. Many of us seem to have other agendas, or we're taking energy or information and we're turning it into something that serves some other purpose. But we're here for the earth and the life that it supports. And we start with that connection and build out. We can't take these snippets of what we think we know and then run off with it to make it something else. Fragmenting and disconnecting the life source. That this is about something much greater than our individual missions and our individual selves, even though right now in this reality, it often feels like we have to be worried about ourselves and our future, because who will provide for us? So we're having to balance and walk between many different worlds and many different expressions right now. But there is a group of beings who probably don't even feel themselves to be light workers. Because what do we see as light workers these days? It's these proclaimers of truth and messages from beyond, telling us to not be in fear, telling us to send light to the planet. But we're so much more than that. We're here to do so much more than that. And there are so many of you who feel lost, who don't feel worthy, who don't feel like you have a clue as to what you're supposed to be doing. And you're probably feeling a lot of pain and grief. And feeling like you just can't go on in this kind of reality right now. And the truth is that this is your time. This is your time for healing. That you have been a part of this planet's evolution more than you are able to recognize and remember at this time. So to just breathe in deeply to that truth. As you feel like you might be losing your last hope, trying very hard not to fall into the fear, and yet at the same time feeling like, what other choice do we have? There are great energies among us now. Yet we have to look past what I would even call the usual suspects. It's not where we expect to find them. And isn't that so often the case in life too? So for those of you who have been feeling, and maybe you haven't even allowed yourself to tap into your body to feel it, an overwhelming amount of stress and tension in your body right now, a feeling of wanting to vibrate right out of yourself, a feeling as if you can't even connect into your own mind. You can't think clearly. As if you're trapped in some weird reality right now. And underneath all of it, you just want to cry yourself to sleep, melt away, disappear, dissolve. Just know that I see you, I understand. Know that you are finally coming home here. I hope this message was helpful. As always, thank you so much for being here. It's not easy right now for many souls who are waking up out of the nightmare. There's a whole range of souls that have been, just say, forgotten and left behind. But there is help here. You are seen and you are most definitely felt. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take good care. We'll talk soon.